Okay, so today we're doing solving exponential equations on page 88, but we actually are going to use this paper that's either attached to this module if you're a distance learner, or I gave it to you if you are an in-class learner. So, hang on. Okay, so last time we talked about the properties of logarithms and you had that puzzle. So we spent, 3 days on logarithms. What is a logarithm? How do we graph a logarithm? And then expanding logarithms. And today we're going to go back to exponents, but we have to keep in mind that logs and exponents are inverses of each other. They undo each other. So we're actually going to use logs to solve equations with base e. So we're going to use logs to solve equations that have a base of e. So one thing that we need to keep in mind is that, and I think I'm just going to write it at the top of this page, e to the x and ln x are inverses. So if you have an e and you want to get rid of it, you use the natural log. Remember, that's an ln, so it stands for natural log, but those letters are backward. So the first one is pretty straightforward. Number 1 wants us to solve this equation for x, but that x is in the exponent position. So we can't do any solving until we get that guy out of the exponent position. So in order to get that e off, in order to make it go away, we're going to take the natural log of it. So we're going to say natural log of e to the 5x. But if we do that to the left-hand side, you also have to do it to the right-hand side. So natural log of 7. So on both sides, you're taking the natural log. Well, on the left-hand side, the ln and the e cancel each other out and go away. So what you're left over with is 5x. And what you have on the right-hand side, let's just keep it as the natural log of 7. And now this is a girlfriend equation. All we have to do is get rid of that 5. To get rid of that 5, you divide both sides by 5. So the quickest way to figure out what this ln of 7 over 5 is to go into Desmos and use that as your calculator. So remember, we choose the scientific calculator. You can type in ln 7 / 5. And then we're going to round all of our answers, including the ones that we get on our quiz, to 3 decimal places. So if I zoom way in, maybe you can, oh yeah, that screen doesn't work. So what I'm getting from Desmos, let me see really quick if it'll let me connect, is 0.389. And the reason that we're getting a weird decimal is because natural logs are irrational numbers and e is an irrational number. So all of our answers are going to be explodey like the one you see on the screen, and we're going to have to round it down. Grab that paper on your way. Right there on the, yep. Okay, so let's try number 2. So number 2, it's the same exact situation. These two look exactly the same. So the first step is to take the natural log of both sides. So the left-hand side is going to be the natural log of e to the 2x. And the right-hand side is going to be the natural log of 9. We have to take the natural log because these two things are inverses. So in order to get rid of that e, you take the natural log of it. So this side goes to 2x. And then the right-hand side, we're just going to leave as natural log 9. And the reason why is because if we come over here and plug that into our calculator, natural log of 9, we get a big old decimal again. And so instead of dealing with that ugly number, we're just going to leave it as the natural log of 9 until the end. So then what's our last step? Divide by what number? 2. So this one is 1.099. So for this and for the quiz, we're doing 3 decimal places. Diamond, you can do your papers right there, and you can sit by Ash if you want. Okay, next up. Ready? Okay, so notice this time we have a 2 out on the front. And before we can get rid of that e, it has to be alone on the left-hand side of the equation. So we cannot take natural log of 2e to the x. So we got to pull this guy off of the front. So we're going to divide first by 2. So on this problem, step number 1 is divide by 2. And the reason that we're doing that is so that on the left-hand side, you just have e to the x. And on the right-hand side, you have 5. Because you can't take the natural log until it's just e on the left. And then this one, you solve it the same as the last ones. We take the natural log of e to the x, natural log of 5. These go away. You get x equals the natural log of 5. So if I plug that into Desmos, natural log 5 is 1.609. So number 4 is very similar. So I'm going to walk you through the steps. Let's see if you guys can do this one. It's got one extra step. So we need to get rid of this 3 on the front. We do that by dividing it off because we have 3 times e. So we're going to divide both sides by 3. And that's going to leave you with e to the 5x equals 4. Now you can take the natural log, and if you don't like to rewrite it every time, you can just start doing this in your notes. Like on this step, you can take the natural log. I break it out so you can see my work step for step so you know exactly what I did. So on this left-hand side, you have 5x. On the right-hand side, you have the natural log of 4. And now we can't forget we have to get rid of this 5. So to get rid of that 5, you divide it off. X is the natural log of 4 divided by 5. So I plug that into Desmos and get 0.277. Okay, so number 5 is exactly the same as number 4. The steps are the same. Divide off the front number, take the natural log, divide off the front number again. So you guys try number 5. Follow these steps exactly. I'll give you a minute and then I'm going to walk around. Let's see. Yes, dear. Okay, so what I plugged into Desmos is natural log 8 divided by 3. So if you plug that into Desmos, I got 0.693. And I saw several of you who had that. Okay, give number 6 a try. So about 20. And about 5. So this one I got 161, but I saw lots of you guys had 160, so let me check real quick. It's natural log of 5. divided by 10. So that 9 right here that I have highlighted in blue tells you that you need to round up 1 to 161. So be careful on that when you get to Canvas. Okay, there's only one other kind of equation that we need to solve. So we've done two types now. We've done one where there's nothing on the e. It's just e to the whatever equals. The last set you just did was a girlfriend one where you have to divide the girlfriend off first and then solve. Now our last set is girlfriend and friend. So we solve this in the same order that we did before. Even though the x is trapped up here in the exponent of the e, we pretend like this is one of our girlfriend equations, and the first thing we get rid of is this minus 7. So we're going to add 7 to both sides. That's going to leave us with 4e to the negative 0.3x equals 20. And now this is almost exactly the same as the last one. So we divide the 4 off. So that's the girlfriend leaving. And we get e to the negative 0.3x equals 5. And I've left a little bit of room on my paper because now that I have it here, I can just take the natural log of both sides. I don't always have to rewrite it on the next step. So these two go away, and you get negative 0.3x equals natural log 5. And then we just divide off that negative number. So in Desmos, I'm going to plug in natural log of 5, it was already 5, negative 0.3. So notice this time there's a 7 that we use to decide to round. So 5 and above, you give it a shove. 4 and below, you let it go. So this one's 5 and above. So this answer is negative 5.365. Okay, we'll do 8 together, and then I'll have you try 9, which is numbered wrong. It says 3. It should say 9 and 10. Okay, so we have a friend this time, which means that we need to subtract him off. This gives us e to the x plus 1 equals 15. And then our next step would be to take the natural log of both sides. So these simplify, and on the left-hand side, you're left with x plus 1. On the right-hand side, you have ln 15. So now this one, our last step is not to divide, our last step is to subtract. So if we want to get this x all by itself, all we have to do is subtract 1. So what I plug into Desmos is ln of 15 minus 1. There's a 0 in the fourth spot. So our final answer is 1.708. You're hanging in? Okay. You try number 9. It says 3, but it really should say 9. And he's like the one right above it. So number 9 matches number 7. I'll write out my work and then I'll come see how far you guys are. Go about 20. Ten. Okay, so no matter how far you got, just double check. So this one was slightly weird because when you do 13 divided by 5, you get a decimal, but that's okay. Just use natural log of 2.6. So I end up getting 1.452. Okay, then number 10 is your last one. So let's have you guys try that one. He's similar to 8. He's similar to the one above it. roughly 10. I got negative 20.099. And I saw many of you guys had that. So I didn't finish solving. The last thing I have to do is divide off that negative 156. And then that is your answer. So the questions in the quiz, I believe, go in the same order that they are on this paper. So you start with the really easy ones, then you get one where there's a number on the front that you divide off, and then you get ones where you have to add or subtract first. I believe there's only 8, and on all of them, you round to 3 decimal places.